When 24 dropped on TV in 2001, it was like strapping a nuclear bomb to network television and setting a timer for real time. This wasn't just a show, it was an adrenaline experiment that made you feel like missing one episode was the equivalent of losing a day of your life. At the center of it all was Jack Bauer, part action hero, part national security nightmare, and the one guy who could whisper, "Damn it," better than anyone else in history. Let's rewind that clock and break down how this show was made, who was behind it, why it was a game changer, and yes, why the Cougar incident is both legendary and laughable. The idea for 24 came from Joe Sarno and Robert Cochran, two writers who looked at standard TV storytelling and said, what if we made it feel like a movie that lasts a whole day? The pitch? 24 episodes, each an hour long, each covering a real-time hour in the life of Jack Bauer, an agent of the counterterrorist unit, CTU. It was so audacious, Fox executives thought it would crash and burn. Instead, it redefined serialized TV. Production started in 2001, and fate made it even more charged. Just 2 months after the 9/11 attacks, 24 premiered with a plot about a terrorist attempt to assassinate a presidential candidate. The timing was controversial, but it also meant the show immediately resonated in a post-9/11 America, where national security was top of mind. Fox took a gamble, and suddenly they had the most talked about thriller on TV. The hook of 24 was simple and genius. Jack Bauer has 24 hours to stop whatever catastrophic crisis is about to destroy America. Nuclear bombs, bioweapons, assassinations, rogue moles inside the CTU. Basically, if it could kill you, it was Jack's problem. Each season was framed as one bad day in his life, and somehow, this guy has the worst luck in television history. But what made the format addictive was the ticking clock tension. Every episode ended on a cliffhanger. A car bomb, a double agent reveal, a phone ringing with bad news. Viewers would say, just one more episode, and suddenly it was 3 a.m. Trust me, I know. And then you're bargaining with your alarm clock like Jack bargains with terrorists. The show blurred the line between political thriller and soap opera, weaving in family drama, betrayals, and shocking twists that had people yelling at their TVs long before X existed. Right before 24 came along, Kiefer Sutherland's career was in a bit of a slump. Definitely not the kind of momentum you expect from someone who would go on to anchor one of the biggest TV shows of the 2000s. Through the late 80s and early 90s, he was hot stuff. Stand By Me, The Lost Boys, Flatliners, Young Guns, and A Few Good Men kept him in that Hollywood leading man conversation. But by the mid to late 90s, his star power had dimmed. He was still working, but not on the kind of projects that broke through. His films like The Cowboy Way in 1994, Eye for an Eye in 1996, and Dark City in 1998 either underperformed at the box office or didn't make him a household name again. But then came 24. Fox originally wanted a bigger name, but Sutherland brought an intensity to Jack Bauer that clicked immediately. The role not only revived his career, but also redefined him. From that guy in the 80s and 90s movies to one of the most iconic TV actors of the 2000s. He's admitted himself that without 24, his career might have quietly faded instead of exploding again. Kiefer Sutherland didn't just play Jack Bauer, he became him. This role turned him into a cultural icon. Jack was relentless, ruthless, and morally complicated. If there was a choice between following the law or tasering a suspect into next week, Jack always knew which button to push. Sutherland's performance even won him a Golden Globe and an Emmy. But the ensemble made the show shine. Dennis Haysbert as President David Palmer was so commanding that real Americans said, yeah, I'll vote for that guy. Meryl Laney Yaskov's Chloe O'Brien, a socially awkward but brilliant analyst, became the fan favorite sidekick. Carlos Bernard as Tony Almeida, Sarah Clark as Nina Myers, Alicia Cuthbert as Kim Bauer, Penny Johnson-Gerald as Sherry Palmer, and James Morrison as Bill Buchanan kept the political and emotional stakes high. And let's not forget some of the villains, like Gregory Itzin as President Logan, who was such a slimy snake of a character that people still bring him up when talking about corrupt TV presidents. The brains behind 24 were Sona and Cochran, but the show's tone and structure evolved under Howard Gordon, who became the key showrunner after season 1. Gordon kept the balance between the over-the-top action and political drama, ensuring 24 stayed addictive even when it risked going full telenovela. Visually, the show had its own style: split screens showing simultaneous events, jittery handheld cameras, and of course, the relentless ticking clock. Director John Cassar was the man behind much of that look, helming over 50 episodes and giving 24 the cinematic polish that made it feel bigger than a network drama. Together, the writing and directing team turned the gimmick of real time into a legitimate storytelling revolution. When 24 first aired, critics were divided. Some said it was too intense or exploitative, especially airing in a post-9/11 world. Others said it was the freshest, most thrilling thing on TV. Audiences decided for themselves, and they were hooked. By season 5, 24 was dominating award shows. It racked up 68 Emmy nominations and 20 wins over its run, including Outstanding Drama Series in 2006. Kiefer Sutherland won Best Actor, and even the writing and directing teams picked up major awards. While some critics complained about the repetitiveness of the mole at CTU storyline or the morality of its torture scenes, the show's sheer entertainment value steamrolled over its nitpicks. Production on 24 was as intense as the show itself. Kiefer Sutherland did many of his own stunts, which led to real injuries. He once broke 2 ribs filming a fight scene, but he kept shooting because Jack Bauer doesn't quit. Crew members joked that the hardest stunt wasn't the action, it was Kiefer chain smoking between takes. Another fun fact, the iconic ticking clock was almost cut after the pilot. Can you imagine 24 without that ticking sound? Exactly, unthinkable. Also, the CTU ringtone. It was actually created from scratch for 24. It came from an off-the-shelf sound library used in TV production. The show's sound designers picked it because it cut through background noise clearly and had a sense of urgency without being too harsh. It became so iconic that fans, like me, started using it as their actual phone ringtone, especially in the mid-2000s when Nokia and polyphonic ringtones were everywhere. In fact, it got so popular that Fox officially released it as a downloadable ringtone, and for a while, it was one of the most recognizable sounds on television. Look, 24 was groundbreaking, but it wasn't flawless. The show leaned way too hard on the "there is a mole at CTU." By the 4th time, you wondered if CTU was recruiting its staff off Craigslist. The torture scenes also sparked real-world debates about whether the show glamorized harsh interrogation tactics, not exactly the PR you want when your hero is waterboarding people. The show thrived when it focused on intense political thrillers, but went off the rails when it tried to fill space. A tighter season length, say 12 episodes instead of 24, may have made the storytelling even sharper. Despite its flaws, 24 is still one of the most exciting TV shows ever made. The real-time gimmick turned into a masterclass in tension. The performances were stellar, and the show kept you on the edge of your seat for over 200 episodes. Few series can match the adrenaline rush of watching Jack Bauer save the world against the clock. And let me tell you, I loved it because it had one of the most detailed previously on that I had ever seen. Helped me to, catch up in case I missed some episodes. Great one there. If you want a show that feels like a mix of a spy thriller, political drama, and high-octane action movie stretched across an entire day, 24 is it. Just clear your calendar before you start, because once you hit play, that clock is not stopping, and neither are you. So, what did you like best about 24? Who was your favorite character? Let me know in the comments. And if you like what you just saw, please do like and share this video, and subscribe to Moviematic. We'd really appreciate it. If you don't, thank you so much for watching this video to the end all the same. You take care and have a great one.